Hey, so everybody in my mastermind, John Lee is over in London, so he can't join us live. He's going to join us recorded. John, would you just say hi to the most amazing people that I've got in this mastermind?
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
All right, so
How you doing?
I'm great. All right, look at your face. It's so exciting.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel the same way about you. I feel like I know you and I don't know you. This is such a great way to meet.
Change starts now. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
Welcome to the Forbes Factor, featuring celebrity TV host, million-dollar entrepreneur, and renowned health and fitness superstar, Forbes Riley. A familiar face from TV, as well as one of today's most sought-after female motivational speakers today. You'll connect with some of the top experts in health and fitness, business and personal development, as well as some surprise celebrities, all sharing their insight, tips, and tricks to finding true happiness. Now, here's your host, Forbes Riley.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to one of my favorite hours of the week. We're here at Forbes Factor, and I'm going to get right into it because I have got a phenomenal guest. You know that we focus on health, wealth, and happiness. I had the honor of hanging out with this guy and meeting him via Clubhouse. For those of you who follow me and are big fans, you know how much I love Clubhouse because, like radio, I don't have to put on any makeup. And as a girl, that's so amazing. But I will tell you what happened on this app for me was I discovered it as the pandemic was setting in and my beautiful Joshua had been in a horrific motorcycle accident. And for me, I still love this app, but for those of us who started on it, we definitely felt like pioneers. And there was this voice of sanity that came all the way over from the UK, just massive success. Do you ever meet somebody who oozed success? Well, besides me. And so, and when you do, you perk up and you listen and you take notes. And I will tell you, he is an entrepreneur of entrepreneurs. He's an author of a book called Business Hacks. He runs a huge, amazing membership. One of the most inviting voices of sanity. And as you know, I'm the queen of pitch. He is one of the best pitchers I've ever met. And I don't know if he was born that way or it cultivated, but by the time he was 27, he was already a self-made millionaire. I could read his credits, but he wouldn't have time to come on and talk. So I'm going to bring him on and we're going to ask and have the most in-depth conversation I've ever had with the one and only Mr. John Lee. Welcome to the stage.
Forbes, thank you so much for that. Wow, that introduction is incredible. Can you do all my introductions from now on?
I would be happy to. I don't think you realize what an impact that you've had on my life personally. And when I go into your rooms and I see what you've created and I hear your level of inviting and the way you talk, I'm blown away, and I love that I get to honor you this way and say that.
Oh, thank you so much for having the show. It's really an honor. Thank you.
Now, watching you, apparently you're Captain America. I didn't know that. Look at that.
I am actually a big geek. As you can see, I used to work in the film industry. So that's why I have these sort of Iron Man. I've got well, you can't see up there, but I've got the original Optimus Prime for those of you who are Transformers fans. I actually have the original Iron Man comic as well from, I think, 1956. So someone got me that for my 40th birthday, and I'm very, very happy. I was like, yes.
I just love this. All right, so I was figuring out where we should start from. So let's start for you at the beginning, because as my friends and fans don't know you, you started at such a young age. Have you always had this spirit, or is this something that evolved for you?
Well, I, like many people, being Asian, my parents said, go to school, get a job, work for somebody else. But unfortunately, the model, and especially what's happening right now in the world, Forbes, is we are trading time for money. And what we need to do is start earning an income and having an income work for us. And so I think a lot of people have probably heard of this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read that book. And it taught me the concept of passive income. Like, God, why don't they teach this at school? And so for me, I never really got to see my parents. And I thought, why don't I create something? And I love my job, by the way. I was an animator. I worked, I used to work for a company called EA Games. And then I worked for a company called Framestore CFC. I worked on all the big blockbuster movies. They did Avengers, they did Harry Potter, they did all the big films. But it felt like, sometimes you work so hard to get somewhere and you kind of get there and it's like, oh God, is this it? And so that's when I remember listening to a podcast by Dolph the Roos. And this guy was in education. He tried to get a PhD and he got one eventually, tried to get a job, and for 6 months didn't get a job. And eventually he got a a job offer for 35,000. And at the same day he got that job offer, Forbes, he actually sold a property and made 35,000. So I'm like, why don't I just earn my year's income and then just take the rest of the year off? And that's how I kind of started in this whole industry.
All right. So this is, and by the way, were your parents happy or not happy with you doing this?
My parents they didn't understand. I mean, they thought, why are you doing this like cartoon stuff? Like, do something proper, like get a job, work for somebody else and, be safe and secure. But when I remember telling my mom, Mom, I'm because, Asian people, we always like to boast about our kids and we always like to, oh, my son's a doctor and my daughter goes to Harvard or Oxford or Cambridge. And, little old John Lee, I wasn't that intelligent to get into these schools. So I decided to do animation and, I finally got a job. And here's the interesting thing, Forbes. The day I quit my job, I actually got a pay rise from £36,000 to £60,000. And I remember saying to my mom, I said, Mom, I've got this pay rise. She was so happy. And I said to her, but you know what? I've just quit my job and I'm going to start a business. You know what she said to me? She said, and in Chinese, that means you're a complete idiot.
Oh. All right. So this begs the question, are entrepreneurs born or are they made?
They are definitely made. Definitely. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, I think some people, I think the upbringing of our environment definitely shapes the way we are, but no one comes out, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Everyone comes out neutral, and then it's the environment. So I call it our BS, not the bullshit, our belief systems, which are formed from other people that come onto us. And so this is how I'm able to see, like, if you look at the parents and you look at the kids and you look at the people that they hang around and you look at what they do, what people do in their spare time determines where they're going to be in the future. So for me, I'm always looking at how can we, and that's why I'm so glad you invited me onto this. And you've been doing this show for many, many, many years and you've changed like millions of lives. And I'm so happy that you're doing that because we need more people like you, Forbes.
Well, and back at you. So now, how old are you when you quit this job?
I was 23 years old.
Okay, God, I can't even hardly remember 23. And so now, because remember, I'm also talking to you got my ears of my kids. My kids are 19 years old. They both run a company. My daughter runs a multi-million-dollar coaching company, which is crazy at 19. But when you did it, it was a little unusual. So at 23, you set out to this wild world. Were you born in London, by the way?
I was actually, so I'm a British-born Chinese, but my parents are from Hong Kong.
Nice. It's funny. I was listening to Margaret Cho last night. There were some funny, phenomenal women comedians, and I've always loved her. And her whole thing has to go with, she does her mom, her Chinese accent mom, and it's just so funny and so endearing. And I love Chinese. I just do. I love all Asians. I'm a martial artist of several disciplines, and it's such an interesting world. I mean, I didn't realize. Apparently, I'm Ukrainian, which apparently until last year nobody knew where that was, and all of a sudden it's become very interesting, the heritage and how you hold on to your people. But I'm so inclusionary that unless you told me you're Asian, I would forget, just to be clear. So 23, you said, I'm going to go do my own thing. What was that? Where'd you go?
So in the book, it talked about if you want to make money, you have to buy assets. And, what most people do is they make money and, they spend most of that money on liabilities, things that don't put money in your pocket. So for me, like, again, I'm dyslexic. So I struggled a lot at school. I like all the academic stuff. I wasn't very good at that. But one thing that I knew was, okay, if I can just buy one property and then sell that property, then if I can make my at least £36,000, then I can just take the rest of the year off. So my goal was really to, like, sometimes it just feels like it's Groundhog Day. We go to these exams, we graduate, we pay off debt, and it's like a hamster wheel. Right. And working in central London, I don't know if anyone watching this is working in London, but it is hectic. It's like just so busy, and people are walking around like this and knocking into you, and it's horrible. It's like the heat, the pollution, and for me, that wasn't really living the Forbes. That was just really just existing.
Now, around that time, did you have any friends to talk to who understood what your dream was?
I did. So my best friend and I, so his name is Darren Rodriguez, and he works for some of the, top movies. Like he animated the Hulk and Avengers and huge Iron Man. But he and I had the same mindsets. And, just to kind of go back, when we were at university, I went to a university in Hull. And it was the University of Lincoln. And at that time, I joined the school because I wanted to have that access to all the best technology. But in that school, they only had like 12 computers, but they had 50 students. So we'd always show up and there'd never be computers available. So he and I would show up, we'd get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go there, go to McDonald's, get a sandwich and a coffee, and we'd wait there until the caretaker showed up. And we would go up and then we would Bagsy the computers. So that means we like early word catches or the early worm, what's early bird catches the worm. And then that's what we did. And so he's the one that bought me the book because I kept complaining about my job. Oh God, it's so busy. Oh, the director, I got to do this shoot again. And oh God, and I was just so angry. And he got me this book called The Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that's the book. And I'm dyslexic, so I hate reading books. Right. But I read that book cover to cover to cover. And it was like this spark moment that just like, wow.
Now, I'm going to say, because my fiance is also an animator, 3D graphic artist, that
wow.
One of the skills that you have is there's a detailed organization to how your brain works. Would you say that's true?
I'm actually not a detailed. Funny thing is, I'm not a very tidy person. I'm not very detailed oriented. I'm kind of like dreamer. I mean, I'm a dreamer. But when it comes to business, there are certain aspects like marketing that I'm very particular with. And it's very strange. You can have one discipline, and like you said, you got many disciplines, but you put someone in, like someone who's an introvert, an extrovert, they're an introvert if they're people who they don't know, but they're an extrovert with people that do know. So there's certain things that come that do trigger that, I guess, OCD-ness.
I got it. And I totally relate to you on so many wonderful levels because I'm also a bit of a geek on so many levels. My son's name is Riker from Star Trek, and you never look at me going, really, Forbes? So now you're selling properties, which I wish I had understood back then. So my parents, I understood the not buying assets because we had no money growing up. My parents like to shove their money under the couch or under the cushion or put it in the, get a CD, put it in the bank because I didn't understand the risk factor. So now you're buying and selling some properties, but you started a business. How old were you when you did that?
So when I started getting into real estate, a lot of people could ask me questions like, oh, John, how come you're not working anymore? Or, oh, I'd call you, or how can you pick up the phone? How can you got so much free time? Oh, you're not an animator anymore, right? It's just because, I quit my job and I kind of got into this full time. The first property I bought, I actually bought for $85,000 and I sold it for $185,000 in 2 months. I made £100,000 like that. I was like, wow, I just need to do more of this. If I can just do one of these every month or one every 6 months, I'm done. And so when I started to do it, it's interesting because when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, before I got into real estate, I kept telling people about it and said, oh, John, come on, stop dreaming. Oh, it's a scam. Come on, you can't do that. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it, right? And so it's interesting because when I started to achieve a small level of success, people start asking questions like, oh, well, how do you do that? Oh, how come you've got more than one house now? Oh my God, like I just saw you on a holiday. How can you afford to buy that brand new BMW? So that people kept asking questions like, what are you doing? You selling drugs? Like, what are you doing? And I told them and I started explaining it. And one person would tell one person, they would tell somebody else until my phone would not stop ringing with people asking me questions on real estate. I then, Forbes, started to write like a little guide on it. So I say, you know what, I'm so busy. I know you're gonna ask me questions on how to buy houses, how to negotiate, how to raise finance, and how to rent them, right? Yeah, okay, good. I got a report. Here's a report. And then we just read it. And do you know, I'll never forget this, Forbes. People would then share that guide with people, and then I'll get a phone call from a guy called Steve Foley. And he said, John, I just read your report. It's incredible. Come and speak at my event. I'm like, I'm not a speaker. And plus I got a stutter. So yeah, I wouldn't be so good at your event. And because back then sometimes I'll speak like that, right? But when I spoke at that event, then people kept coming to me, and there's only 6 people there. I was like, come on, it's not that hard. Then I got another phone call from a guy called Just Want Rye. And he said, John, I heard you spoke at Steve's event. Would you come speak at my event? I said, cool, there's only 6 people. The last one, it can't be that hard. I showed up, Forbes, and there was 250 people there. And I was like, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And at the end of that event, someone comes up to me and said, hey, John, you know that report that you, like the holding, like how much is it? I said, I don't know, £47. The guy takes his wallet out, gives me £50 and said, keep the change. That's the first time I knew that what's in my head is far more valuable to other people than it was for myself. I thought there was a second nature. I thought everybody knew this. And then eventually, more people started spreading it. More people started buying it. I remember getting all my business cards, sending an email out with a PayPal link. Forbes, I sold 369 copies in 7 hours.
Wow and wow. That's just, I love this story so much. Then you run into issues, by the way. So now you all of a sudden you have to put these names on a database. Did that come easily to you as well? Like, what do you do with your email list?
No, I just got my business cards. Like, you know, when you go to networking events,
I do. That's, trust me, I know.
Right, like shove cards in your head, like in your face, right? So I thought, okay, let's just put them onto a spreadsheet, send an email, right? And I remember getting up in the morning, I opened up my laptop, I clicked send and receive, and it's like, ding, you only get PayPal notifications, ding, ding, ding. I was like, I thought someone had hacked me or something. And then I realized there were payment receipts.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. What year is this? Are we talking, by the way?
This was probably 2015.
Okay. So digital marketing is a little bit of a thing back then, but you had no idea it even existed.
I had no idea. I mean, in fact, you know, because here's the thing, right? The way I would get deals, I would knock on other people's doors and estate agents and say, hey, give me some deals. And they would say, yeah, sure. And they would never call me back. And then I thought to myself, hold on a second, this is so contradictory because the agent's job is to get the highest price. I want the lowest price. So it would never work.
Right.
So, until my friend said to me, he said, John, have you tried a newspaper? Right, put an advert in the newspaper. So I did old school like leafleting, but it's like, do you know, I'd have to deliver 100,000 leaflets to get about 1,000 calls. Right. And from 1,000 calls, most of those didn't want to sell. And you know, for every 100 people that would speak to, 10 would fit the criteria. We put 5 offers in and 1 would complete. So it was a numbers game. I thought this is too much work, too much hard work. And then I realized Google AdWords. Every single word people typed into Google is tracked. So if you use a software called SpyFu or Keyword Planner, it tells you every single keyword. And I typed in, sell my house fast. Do you know there were 6,600 searches a month in the UK? I thought, oh my God, if I can just target that keyword. So then I started using AdWords. Every time someone typed in sell my house fast, bang, my website would come up. They would click, they'll come to a website and there'll be a video of me or like some text saying, hey, if you want to sell your property fast, fill your details below. And we'd ask for the first name, last name, email address, telephone number, and one question that makes difference. What's the main reason for selling the property and how fast do you want to sell? And every time someone would say within 4 weeks and then we're getting repossessed or they wanted the cash fast, we would buy those properties 20 to 30% below market value. That's how I discovered, oh my God, you want to scale your business, you need to use digital.
Wow, wow, and wow. All right. So then at some point you created this business that you went public. By what age?
2019, actually.
Okay. So connect those dots for me.
So when I started doing this property stuff, people kept asking me questions, right? So when I sent that report out, people started reading it, but then they would call my office saying, hey, John, I got a deal. Can you help me negotiate it? I'm like, well, you got the report. It tells you how to do it. But here's the thing. It's like the more you help people, the more people want you to do it for them, right? You know what I'm talking about. So then when they would call me up and then I became the deal closer. I would start closing people's deals. And then eventually we would word would spread, oh, John Lee and this guy, you know, they're doing these negotiations. And then we'd put on live events and we'd say, look, it's just too much work doing all this for people. Just come to my event and I'll pick up the phone. I'll give you the script. I'll train you how to do it. And by the way, if we get deals, we'll pass them to you as well. And then I met a guy called Vincent Wong, right? This guy owned a website called Network Property Buyers. They generated like 20 or 30,000 people wanted to sell the property below market value. And I said, you know what? I'm going to negotiation. You have all the deals. Let's partner together. Right. And that's when I started building a multi-million-pound property portfolio. And the more properties I started to buy, the more investors that we would find and the more invested we would then sell deals to. But some of these investors would ask us, oh, John, what's your secret sauce? How are you finding the deals? How are you getting the properties below market value? And I said to my business partner, we should teach them, because then if we teach them, then they can do it for themselves. We don't have to be there. So one of the things that we started to do is we started to do training programs, and we'd send, let's, because we had to hire the venue, because at first people would come to our office and we can fit like 10, 20 people in there, but that's quite a squeeze. But then when 50 or 100 people want to show, you can't fit those people in your office. Plus you're going to buy them all teas and coffees and things like that. So you know what, let's hire a hotel. And the first time I said, I want to hire a hotel for 100 people. How much is it going to cost? It's going to be £10,000. I said, £10,000? I'm not paying 10 grand for a venue for people to show up for us to teach them. And then my business partner said, well, just charge them. So we said, no one's going to pay that. So we sent an email out to say, hey, if you want to come, it's 100 places, click the PayPal link. And do you know, if this was insane, like we would send an email out to a small list of like, because our investors, we only had a list of like 2,000 people, and we'd be sold out within an hour. Wow. It was incredible.
Isn't business phenomenal? Hey, in 3 minutes, we're taking our first commercial break because we are in fact live. We're a radio show heard around the world on Voice America. You have, by the way, I pay you $7 a month. Just so you know, I'm in early. I am one of your, I'm a member of your club, but you have some insight that you have a special offer for my audience. Can you just let me know that now? What is it that people want to get to know more of you? Because this hour is going to go by so fast.
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, we've got our membership, which you're a part of, which is jl.club, but we also run a lot of events as well. So if people want to, to run some events, they can maybe email your team, and we can do something very special for your community as well.
Well, I would love to. I mean, I think, again, just so exciting. Now, in the minute we have left, let's just fast forward to Clubhouse. How did you get started on Clubhouse, and why do you love it so much?
So I was part of a mastermind group where it's kind of like the best of the people in that industry. And someone sent a message saying, oh my God, this new social media platform, it's going to be the best one in the world. You need to join it. And of course you needed an invite, right? So back then you needed an invite. So I got an invite and I joined, and I was like, oh my God, there's like 1,000 people, and there's 5,000 people in this room. I started my first room, Forbes, and I had 1,300 people show up. I'm like, wow, there's something special here. So I started using it, and I've got now the biggest club on Clubhouse for entrepreneurs, and then now become an investor in Clubhouse as well. So yeah, it's an interesting journey.
I just love how you see those things. For me, I had 15 people invite me, and I thought it was a network marketing scam. And I said no to people like Sharon Lecter. Just because it sounded like, I'd had enough scams until I joined. But unlike you, where your brain goes, because I'm definitely more of a spokesperson. I have a certain niche that I do. I'm the best when it comes to tweaking people and their pitches. But business-wise, starting businesses, that seems to be your thing. I also never even bothered creating a club, just because it would just seem like not my focus. You have the biggest club on Clubhouse. Hello, my friend. I'm going to hang out with you more. Very, very smart mind. We have 1 minute break. You know what? I'm going to take that break. Guys, if you're listening to Forbes Factor, we focus on health, wealth, and happiness. My guest today is going to be here for the entire hour. If you've got questions, we're in fact live on Facebook right now. And obviously we live as an iTunes podcast all around the world. And if you listen, share, because there's somebody who needs to hear this. I know I'm loving this. I would take a quick break to say thank you to my sponsors. We'll be right back after this message. Don't go away.
All right, all clear.
Wow, my friend, I don't think I knew all this about you. Just so you know, we're still live on Facebook, so don't say anything too embarrassing. What a treat. Now, do you have a family?
I do. I've got a daughter and my wife.
Tell me about them.
So my daughter's going to be 4 next week. So she's crazy about Frozen, and she's always performing. And it's interesting because that seat there, when I'm sort of, on daddy duties, she'll sit there and she'll hear me speaking. She says, Daddy, are you going on Clubhouse again?
I love that. Well, I will tell you, that is how you do it. My daughter started hanging out with me at television studios when she was about 4 to 5 years old. She would take notes in the back of the room. She tells this story. Mom, your models are not smiling and you should be doing this and blah, blah, blah. And I only paid so much attention to her back then. I should have paid more attention when she was 8. She actually saved my company $48,000 because she saw something we didn't see. She also saw a Bitcoin at $100, and I did not buy it for her because I was thinking of something else. Hello. And now she runs my company. So let your daughter hang out with you a lot. You'd be surprised what they're going to learn and who she gets to be.
Well, it's always learn by doing.
Well, learn by watching. It's funny, you can tell your kids all kinds of things, but they watch what you do and how you run your life. And they grew up with SpinGYM obviously being their little sister. I made 48 trips to London in 6 years working on QVC promoting this thing.
Wow.
I know. Actually, I'll be at Heathrow next Tuesday for a minute on my way to Greece. I'll wave. So we might want to move back. I don't want to interrupt, but we are live. Yeah, no, let's get us back live.
20 more seconds.
All right.
Voice America Influencers Channel.
Change starts here. Change starts now. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
You are listening to the Forbes Factor. To call in with a question or comment, please call 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. Or send an email to Forbes@ForbesRiley.com. Now back to the show. Here's Forbes Riley.
Everybody, welcome back to Forbes Factor. My very special guest, who, by the way, is blowing it up on Facebook. We have tons of comments. People want to know the name of your club, how to join your membership, and it goes on and on. They're just exploding over here. And so we're talking about how you are definitely the definition of visionary. Do you have an implementer in your world who helps execute your visions?
I absolutely do. So my business partner, Vincent Wong, he is, we call him a creator/mechanic. So he understands, like, sometimes I have like crazy ideas and I'll say, oh, can we do this? And he'll just figure out a way to do it. And he'll find the best people, even if we can't do it. He'll find, like, for example, I know nothing about coding. I know nothing about app creation. So when we took our company public, we did our first IPO in 2019. So we raised all this money. We're like, okay, what shall we create? So we created an app that allowed, because my first mentor charged me £10,000 for 2 days of coaching. And because of that, I've learned a lot of things to be able to grow. But I thought to myself, why don't we have access to multimillionaires, billionaires, successful entrepreneurs? They're too busy. But what if I could create an app where I can put them all in one place? And anytime anyone says a question on NFTs, crypto, investing, business, marketing, social media, entrepreneurship, then they could literally ask a question. And then, so let's say I want to ask Forbes a question. I see Forbes on it. Hey, Forbes, how do I pitch my product? Bang. Forbes gets a message, and then you just send a voice note back saying, hey, John, the best way to pitch your thing is this. And then I got to pay you to answer my question. So that's so.
So what's the name of this app that I did not know about?
iMentors.
Oh, I do know about it. I actually saw. I was listening to it today. That's so interesting. What a great concept. And so you had no idea how to do this. Just your partner said, "I'm going to set this up for you." You're a genius.
Yeah.
What would you say to entrepreneurs who are visionaries who don't have an implementer?
Find one. Or learn to implement yourself. I mean, I think a part of business, look, there's only really 4 things in business. This is what I've learned by creating multi-million-pound businesses. Number 1, your marketing. You've got to get good at marketing. Number 2, sales. Anyone who learns how to sell, speak to Forbes. She's the best at that. 3, scalability. How do we not just sell, but we scale, right? And then number 4 is your brand. So when you look at the scaling part, it's all about your operations manuals. The difference between $1 million company and a $10 million company and a $100 million company and a $1 billion company is all down to systems and scale. That's the only thing. So for people listening to this right now, find somebody who's very, like, an implementer is someone who's detailed. Really, you're looking for an operations director. You're looking for like a COO, right? Someone who doesn't have the vision, but knows just how to get stuff done. Proactive. These people, test them, right? So one of the things I do, if I see someone in mind, I'll test the person. I'll send them an email. They don't reply, definitely not, right? But like, so for example, when I hired my first PA, I had 3 people apply of the final, and I gave them all almost impossible tasks to do. And the one that would come back to get it done is the one that got the job.
Oh, I love this. And that is such an important, what kind of task did you give them? I'm going to drill down here. Would you ask?
So like itinerary. So like, for example, when I was traveling around the world, they had to get all my hotels booked, all my flights booked. They have to arrive on time because my speaking schedule was, and I'm sure you've done this before, you have to fly from London to Dubai to Singapore, Singapore to Malaysia. And each one's got like 6 hours in different time zones, right? Staying in the hotels, making sure you've got the right AV setup, speaking to the promoters. Like, I hate presenting with slides, right? I like presenting with like pens and a flip chart and a camera, right? And I hate having a lapel mic. I've got to have a head mic. So things like, if I would show up at the venue and I don't have a head mic, I know the PA's done a bad job.
Oh, that's interesting. So wait, with the first company that you decided to take public, was that a difficult thing to do, or was it something?
Very difficult. It was, I would always advise people, if you don't have to take your company public, don't.
Was it a good thing for you, or did you decide to reverse that concept?
No, it was great because, so one of the things I learned from one of my billionaire friends, he said that, John, if you want to create $1 billion company, here's what they do. So a lot of the companies that go public actually lose money. right? Because they're in burn, because you got to raise money and they sacrifice profit for growth. So once you got this company, look at Amazon, you look at Tesla, Facebook, all these companies, a lot of these companies, I think Uber's still losing money, right? WeWork still losing money. But what you do is the reason why you take a company public is because now you have shares in a company. So traditionally, if I want to buy a company for say 10 million, I'd have to give them 10 million cash and probably an earn out from that. But if I got shares in the company, I can say, you know what, I'll give you 8 million in shares and I'll give you 2 million in cash. So now that company's cash flow sits on the company and you keep doing it again and again and again and again until now you got this portfolio built up. And now that's what increases your share price.
People always ask me, or lately, what's your 5-year plan? Have you thought, do you do that? Is that part of what your mentality is?
I always plan for short-term, medium-term and long-term, right? So for example, my goal is to take my company to $1 billion valuation. So I know exactly how to do that. Right? It's all about ARR, annual recurring revenue. It's about monetization. It's about scale. Any companies that have recurring revenue have a 10 times multiple, right? So it's also timing in the market as well, right? And being in the market. Like if you'd have invested in Tesla, you know, instead of spending 70,000 in a Tesla car, which after 5 years is worth half the price, if you put the same 70,000 into Tesla stock, it'd be worth hundreds of thousands. Right. So it's knowing what targets to go after, but also knowing what collaborations to go for, and also having the connections. So the connections make a big difference.
Now, you've spoken on stage with some amazing people, from Richard Branson to Bill Clinton to all kinds of Randy Zuckerberg. What's your secret sauce to maintaining high-level relationships?
Find out what people want, give it to them, and don't expect anything in return.
Like?
So I'll give an example. So quite a lot of my friends are big. So for example, Avengers, right? So I have a friend who's in the Avengers movies and he saw one of my posts and, you know, he dropped me a message and he just happened to finish his shoot. And then he was in London with his wife. And because a lot of these actors and a lot of these athletes, they have a lot of money, but they don't know how to invest it. So the first thing they wanted to buy was a property. So they came to me and said, John, how do I get the property? How to negotiate? How to make money when I buy? What are the things I need to look out for? What are some of the pitfalls that you can do? So, or that I should look out for, that things that cost me. So, you know, I would go and do things for people and I'll get things in return. I'll give you another example. One of the biggest promoters who promotes Tony Robbins, the reason I was able to get on the stages with Richard Branson, with Bill Clinton, with Tony Robbins is for about 6 months, I toured with this company, and instead of being their speaker, I was their runner, an MC, and stage manager, because I wanted to know how the behind the scenes of events worked. And then eventually, like, oh, John, this speaker's not here. Can you come and, you know, do like a little introduction for the next speaker? And I started off doing a lot of MCing. Then I started off doing like little pictures. Oh, by the way, at this break, could you talk about the speaker's book? Because they don't want to talk about it. And then from there, the more I started to speak, and then those opportunities came. And I had to pay my own way, pay my hotels, pay my flights. It cost me money in my company as well. But I can tell you, even till today, I still have that relationship. And anytime there's a big event, guess what? I'm the #1 speaker that gets invited to speak.
So what would you suggest to someone to, I mean, that's such a brilliant strategy, but I don't know if it's right for everyone. What would you suggest to somebody who's never been a speaker? I mean, that's you and I were both actually just on Real Summits. Congratulations. I've been there since January 2021. And I'm very proud of the fact that I finally leveled up to that level. I also had to create products in the back end that didn't exist before. So I'm a little catch up there. New speaker, entrepreneurs who I would like to speak. What's the advice?
The easiest way to get on stage, 2 ways: buy your way in, earn your way in, right? So if you want to buy your way in, for example, there's a lot of events that have sponsored speaking slots. Call the promoter and say, hey, what sponsored speaking slots do you have? And they're happy to give you like half an hour, and you pay them 10 or 20,000 or however much do you want. And then they will use that money to market the event to get more people to the event. That's the first way. Second way, which I prefer, is, you know, if you write a book. So I wrote a book called Business Hack. It's been endorsed by the co-author Rich Dad Poor Dad. So when you become an author, you have a fan base. And when you build a fan base, it's a strategy called Your Room, My Room. So what I do is I've built up 6 million followers in social media now. So every time I want to speak in an event, I say, hey, by the way, I got 6 million followers. I see you running an event. I would love to help you promote it. And I don't ask to speak. I promote it first. And then I get a lot of people and they go, oh my God, this guy just put 1,000 people in a room. Then I get a phone call. Hey, by the way, would you like to speak at our next event? So when you build a brand, again, instead of you having to knock on everyone's doors. Everyone's knocking on your door because you have one thing that no one else has: distribution and instant brand equity at a touch of a button. That's why you need a database as well. I got a database.
I'm gonna send this recording of this so you can let at least 5.9 million of them know what you did today.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny because I'm an introvert by nature, and as much as I love being out there, like you said that in the very beginning, a little challenging to somehow reach out and make new connections. I'm always kind of surprised when I do. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm actually an introvert.
I see that, but you're good at it.
Well, like, you know, sometimes like when I'm hanging around my friends, like, why is that John Lee? Like, isn't that a speaker guy? Why is he so quiet? Like, I'm quite happy to just sit there and listen. And sometimes when I go to events, I'm a bit socially awkward. Sometimes, not. I mean, if I know the people, then I'm fine. But you know, sometimes I'm like, I kind of keep myself to myself. And
you guys all just need to hear this, because I think the biggest takeaway from right now is you're talking to two people who definitely like little geeks and socially awkward at events, who are two of the top speakers in the world right now. Yet that's the truth. I will still go to an event, and if I don't know people, I'll just stand there and just thank God I got a little fame. Otherwise I would still, you know, standing in the back, which is weird. You're like, why did you do that? Which I think that transparency, my audience is eating this up. The Facebook is going nuts commenting on this and how beautiful you are right now. Oh my goodness. So writing a book, did that really truly affect your life?
Oh, massive. That's actually what got me a lot of the radio interviews. It got me a lot of my first TV interview. It's what got me now, you know, when I wrote that book, 2015, God, that's a long time ago. Some 9 years ago now. It's what got me into Forbes. So they talk about my book in there. So it's interesting. Like when they introduce you, they'll say, "Oh, John Lee, the author of." They never say the John Lee, you know, serial entrepreneur, this and that. I mean, you gave an amazing introduction, but a lot of times people know you for the book. Like I remember I was in Heathrow, right? So flying Emirates, my promoter flew me business class. And I checked in the lounge, and the lady at the counter said, "Oh my God, are you John Lee? Oh my God, I'm reading your book." And she took a copy of my book out, and I signed it for her. And then I get a call to go to the desk, and she upgraded me to first class, like for free. I'm like, wow.
Oh, that's getting better. All right. For those of us who don't know about your book, what is the big takeaway from your book?
So I've got two. The first one is the black one back there called Wealth Dragon Way, but the latest one is this one called Business Hack. And there are so many different ways to hack business, right? I'll give an example. Like one business hack that you want to use is raising finance, right? So you raise finance when you don't need it, right? So one way to raise finance is you can use things like Kickstarter. You can use, there's so many of these websites. You have an idea. People go, "John, I don't have any investors." Put it on Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or whichever page. There are lots of these different sites, and people will fund your idea, right? You get investors coming in to fund your idea. So Kickstarter, you've got a lot of those different sites. One of the hack for like business, social media, right? So I do a lot of stuff on social media. Like you want to get more followers on Facebook, use an engagement tab. Every time you use an engagement tab, Facebook shows it to people that engage.
What
LinkedIn.
Is that? Wait, an engagement tab. Help me, socially illiterate over here.
So when you make a post, people post to the friends, they don't post to the buyers, right? So when you go into Facebook, you can have a setting that says engagement. So when you click engagement, Facebook knows all the people that will engage, right? They track all the people that like, comment, and share. So when you do that, the more so the rule on social media is the more likes and comments that you get, the more it will reach to more people, right? So that's.
You need to very slowly hold your book up one more time, so that my audience can see this. I think this is a massive takeaway. Available on Amazon and all of the platforms, yes?
Yeah. If they go to Amazon, they can get it. As I said, it's just been endorsed by the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad as well. But it really talks about the different hacks in life, because a lot of people, like, there are only two ways to market your business: free and paid, right? Free is guerrilla marketing. Paid, I mean, if you got $5 million, Forbes, you can just advertise on Super Bowl and you'll get 100 million eyeballs. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't have $5 million just to blow on advertising. So you have to use guerrilla marketing. For example, if I'm using TikTok, TikTok's the one that's going to give you the most reach for free, right? TikTok's 15 seconds long, but the first 3 seconds need to have a pattern interrupt. So it interrupts because the longer people watch it, it has what we call a rippled, delayed organic reach system. So if I put a little ripple here and no one watches it, it won't give me a second ripple. If people start watching it over and over again, I get a second ripple. It shows to more people, and it does again. And that's how you go viral. So you got to know how to do those types of strategies. Another thing, DM automation. There's a really good software called instachamp.io, right? So best hack I've got for you right now. If people go to my Instagram profile, my last post because of my birthday recently, my last post had 5,000 comments, folks. 5,000 comments. How? Because I asked people, I said, hey, by the way, I've got a gift for you. If you're interested in this gift, type in the word gift. It's my birthday present to you, right? And I got thousands of people commenting. And because of that, every comment and engagement I get, it will automatically, if I use the software Instachamp, it will send that person the gift without me physically having to do it. And I'll tell you this trick with this. Instagram and Facebook restrict how many messages you can send. So you can only send 100 messages every hour, 50 to 100 messages. Any more than that, you get blocked. If you use Instachamp, because it's an approved third party with Facebook, I can send 10,000 messages and I won't get blocked. That's a good lead generation source that I've got for free. So that's another hack. On Clubhouse, I figured out, I've run over, God, I don't know how many rooms I've run. I've been on there for probably I've run about 185 plus 365, about 550 rooms on Clubhouse. And because of that,
you have a calculator handy. That was a genius move, by the way.
I'm always geeky, right? I'm always calculating.
I love that. All right.
Right. So on Clubhouse, you want to get more reach? Simple. What people do is they open a room by themselves. The worst thing you can do, because you only get one notification. What you do, you start a social room first, and you bring people on stage, like 10 people on stage. Then you open the room. Because what happens is everyone on stage, it sends a notifications to everyone's followers on stage. That's the first one. Second thing is, when you have a club, do not open the room in a club. If you open the room in a club, at the same time, you get double notification, you get less reach.
Right.
So what you do is you open up on a small room first with you. It sends one notification to everyone's followers. Then after about 5 minutes, you open up to the rooms, it sends a second notification out. So now you get a bump up in numbers. And then what happens, it starts to level out. Once it levels out, then you do a share on Clubhouse. So you stagger those three things instead of doing it all at once. And you get more. That's why I can have thousands of people that attend my rooms. I figured it out after doing 550 rooms.
Guys, this is an insane masterclass that you're getting completely for free. I'm loving this, but I'm just going back to your Instagram going, wow, not only 2.6 million followers, but 5,000 engagements on a post. That was a genius strategy. And I love geeking out on this, guys. It's why Napoleon Hill wrote about the joy of mastermind. Anytime there's two people doing this, you are witnessing what I think is probably the greatest mastermind. Now, don't tell Rob Moore because I had him as a guest. This is so much better. Don't, just kidding. And wow, I'm loving your hack mind. This is so insanely valuable. Now, do you offer this in your membership?
Yeah, I've got a lot of that training there. So if people want to learn about that, I've got that in jl.club. But honestly, I actually spend 3 days working with people, to do that. I do a 3-day virtual boot camp. I go for 8 hours a day. I don't have any other speakers. It's just me teaching these boot camps, teaching all these different hacks on how to grow, how to monetize, how to get more exposure, and also how do you scale up the business. And that's why virtually it's one of the best things you can do, because now you don't have when I was sharing the stage, I was having a conversation with Randy Zuckerberg, and she told me that, John, nowadays you don't want to have a local business. You want to have a global business that hits every single time zone. So the US market, the European market, the Middle East market, the Asia market, the Australian market. And then it's like 24/7. So it never stops. So that's why it's so important for people to put content out there. I've got videos that I put up 10 years ago on YouTube that still makes me money today, folks.
That's insane. So now you're doing 3-day workshops virtually. Can anyone join?
Yeah, if you are willing to put in the time and if you're willing to take action as well. My only one ask is that if you get value from it, then you must pay it forward to somebody else. Honestly, Forbes, both you and I, we've made enough money for many lifetimes. Yep. Why do we still continue to do what we do? It's because when we leave this planet, we got to leave something. That's why I write these books. Right? I don't make any money from the books because my publisher takes most of it.
Right.
But I know that my daughter will read this book, and I know that when you and I, when we've left this planet, your radio station will still be here, your podcast, my videos will still be here, my social media will be here, where people can learn. That's what we call true legacy.
Well, so because I've heard you talk about your trainings and how you'll give some away, you'll have people. I did not quite realize what you did, and now that we've got millions of people watching this and downloading this, how do we get involved? See, I want, because we're going to lose you in a few minutes. I want to come to one of these 3-day trainings. What do I do?
Well, we're on a lot of them. I mean, I think the biggest one, the most recent one, the most up-to-date one is one called, because a lot of people right now want to do online presentations. So the first thing is you want to be able to market your business. The second thing is you've got to be able to grow your business and then systemize it on scale. And one of the best ways to do that is to do online presentations, right? Is to do webinars, is to do, how do I promote it to get thousands of people onto there as well? So we have a 3-day bootcamp coming up. Day 1 talks about how do you actually set the whole sequence. Step 2 is how do we automate it using different softwares. And step 3 is how do we market, and then how do we get sales automatically so we produce passive income. Some of my events, between £1,000 and £2,000, but Forbes, this is the first time you and I have done collaborations together, apart from Clubhouse, but I'm actually seeing your face for the first time in almost 1.5 years.
Is that crazy?
So I'll tell you what, for your community, because it's the first time I'm working with community, I know your community is fire because you've trained every single one of them how to become amazing entrepreneurs and sell and pitch. All they need is the audience. So what I'll do is I'll let your audience pay whatever amount they want to pay to get in, right?
You and I, we're going to create something. We're going to have this conversation. Because again, I've also heard you on Clubhouse, and I've got to tell you, for all of you listening, this is a fun moment. This is like a business blind date where you're like, you know what? I like this guy. Keep her, say right here. Don't tell his wife or my husband, but we're having some fun here, and we're going to do some business. Because one of the things that I love doing, I see white spaces all over the place, create amazing collaborations with people, and from a vibe. So I'm going to say that if you are interested in knowing more, the best thing you can do is reach out to me. You guys know you have my private email, care of my Voice America, and certainly my social media. But even tonight, when I'm going to do my mastermind, we're going to create something amazing. I've had 12,000 students go through my coaching since COVID hit, and I started this level of my career. And you'd be somebody who I believe really would serve my people well. So congratulations. That's cool. That's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for having me.
Well, no, I am so honored that you said yes. Apparently lots of people love you. I didn't realize how many people responded. Like, oh my God, John Lee. In the few minutes that we've got left, let's leave business for a second. Talk to me. What do you do when you're not working?
I watch a lot of animations. In fact, I'm really looking forward to the new Buzz Lightyear movie coming out soon.
Have you seen the new Jurassic Park?
I haven't. No. I also want, I need to watch Top Gun as well.
Yes, I did both of those the last 2 days because I'm leaving my beautiful man. My daughter and I are going to Greece, so I went to the movies both of those nights. Both extraordinary for people who just love film. Cruise did an amazing job of getting the actors in those real scenarios. No green screen there, which was like, wow.
I know, right? And
then, of course, nothing better than a giant dinosaur running after and frightening people. That's all.
I mean, for me, I just in my downtime, I just love to, like do jigsaw with my daughter. She likes Lego. She's playing with Lego now. Sometimes she'll go freeze, and then she wants to play like pretend to be Elsa from Frozen. And for me, it's just having that. I mean, simple stuff like just sitting there watching a film, sitting in the garden, having my double espresso, and just pontificating on ideas, on ways that we can become better.
So thinking about that, as the world has hit a little bit of a craziness, at least in my interpretation, what are you looking forward to for the world and how you're moving through it?
This is a point where we're going to get squeezed. We're going to get squeezed to the top or squeezed to the bottom. Forbes, in Chinese, we have a saying called Wei Ji, and it's a Chinese character. It's made up of 2 characters, and it spells crisis. One word by itself on its own is danger, and the other one is opportunity. Together, they spell crisis. That means in every crisis is about to come, and you are right. I think definitely we are moving. I mean, it's about time we went into sort of this recession / depression. But there are more millionaires made in a recession than any time before. So my saying to people is this: success is when preparation meets opportunity. Get educated, connect with the right people, find all the assets of people that you can invest into, help more people, and get ready for it to come. Because a lot of people miss the property boat. A lot of people miss the Bitcoin boat. Do not miss the Web 3.0 space, the NFT space, the metaverse space, where we are now evolving into.
What do you think about metaverse? What's your concept for that?
Well, do you know how we have a website now? Okay, websites will be gone. So if I want to buy things from Forbes Riley, I just put my goggles on, I'm in your shop now. And just like we have Apple Pay, I can just have a click pay. So, I want to buy her book, click, bang, it gets delivered. It charges my wallet, right? I want to buy Forbes' course, click, bang, charge my wallet. As soon as I click on it, a door opens, I go straight into your seminar virtually. And I can look around, I can see people there. That's where we're moving into.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that I'm a little bit older than you, and I personally have a vision about doubling down on humanity, because when you take the goggles off, you're still a human who needs to exercise, eat, think right, do your hair and makeup, and have a personal relationship. So it'll be interesting to see how those two worlds. If I were 19, I would metaverse all day long. At my point, I'm going to make sure that you stay fit, happy, and healthy. By the way, I need to get you and your daughter one of these in bright pink so that you can always stay super fit and healthy.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's an interesting journey about how do you take a product to marketplace. In our last minute here, and I just adore you. Thank you so much for coming to life from that little circle. What's one thing that you'd like to share with people listening? A lot of people are listening right now.
I just want to say, for everyone listening right now, whatever you do, people will say you're crazy, right? Whatever ideas you have, they'll say, oh, you're a dreamer. You're always going to get these people, red lighters, green lighters. Red lighters tell you can't do it. Green lighters say, you know what, you should do it. So write down all the people who are red lighters and remove them from your life, replace them with green lighters. Because I made the mistake of telling people what I'm going to do. And because of that, I get a lot of rejection. I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of, oh, you can't do it. And all the people that say that you can't do it are the ones that say that you can afterwards when you've made it. So my one last thing I'll leave people with is this, Forbes. Don't tell people what you do. Take massive action, get results, and let your results do all the talking.
Oh, drop the mic. My beautiful friend, your parents did a really, really good job, and you are just such a delight and a sunshine in my life. Thank you. Thank you. For all everybody listening, I hope you got that message. Don't tell people what you're doing. Just let them see what you've done. I love that. All right, you guys, please tune in next week. If you like this, share it with your friends. Tell them what we're up to. We're on every podcast around the world, but we're live here on Facebook and on Voice America. To my crew in Arizona, thank you guys very much. Next week, I will see you from Greece. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh my God, that was so much fun.
Clear.
All right, so we are, in fact, still on Facebook. To everybody, let me see if there's any Facebook questions or comments. It is absolute fire. Kimberly Henry Martina loves you. Penny, and I go on and on and on. Huge hit. I do know that I'm going to say goodbye to my Facebook. Love you guys. Stop my live stream. Would you take a moment? It's just you and me now. That was awesome. You are amazing.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Whenever I listen to you, I get inspired. I want to go to jail. I mean, I just love there's an innocence about the way you get us in, the way you pitch is what I teach, and you intuitively know it. I feel like you're talking to people. I feel like you're giving them what they want, and it's all my principles come to life. It's really nice to watch. I know. So proud of you. I know you don't know.
Love it.
Hey, so Mastermind, let me see if I can stop this recording real quick and just stop the recording.